everyone, Ryan from Ebike Escape, and today we're checking out the ultimate folding electric bike. Yes, this is the Brompton electric bike. If you're not familiar with Brompton, they have been around since 1975 perfecting foldable bikes. They are a premium brand and they have brought their expertise to a foldable electric bike, so I was excited to dig in to what you can expect from a premium folding electric bike. This is going to be a bike that you'll want to consider if you truly have to fit a bike into tight spaces. Hope you enjoy this one. I sure have been having fun checking out this e-bike. And so with that, let's get into the walk around, and then I will also share some riding footage. All right, let's get to the walk around. The first thing you'll obviously notice, I have this leaning up against the sign. That's because this bike does not come with a kickstand. So let's start in the back of the bike. First off, we have the internally geared hub. There's 3 gears in there. This is the first time that I've used a bike with an internal hub, so that was really interesting to experience. And then you have these really nice custom fenders, all these attachment points to make sure they stay in place. You can see that there's very little play in that. And then you of course have this wheel here and a mud guard. This is using rim brakes as opposed to, for instance, disc brakes. But when you're only going 15 miles per hour and at the top maybe around 20, you don't necessarily need that increased stopping power. And of course, this bike is made for the streets, so these are smaller tires. They do have a nice reflective strip. Okay, and then moving on to the other side of the rear wheel here, you can see this is where the internally geared hub comes in. So if I actually adjust the gear, you'll be able to see that move. And then you also have this, what I believe is a custom Brompton derailleur. You can see just how compact this is. And then you do have this Spinninga light, which I can turn on in the daylight, but it's probably going to be pretty hard for you to see. I know some other electric bike companies are using upgraded lights, which I like to see. So not going to offer you a ton of visibility during the day, or if any, but at night you can definitely see it. And then you can see here's the very interesting mechanism that they're using for the rear derailleur. So it adjusts it there, and that's how you get your 2 speeds. Moving up here is that clip that I demonstrate in the portion of this video where it folds. So this will release the rear tire, and then these are the rear wheels that it rests on. And what is really interesting is this piece here acts as a slight form of suspension. So while it's not going to add a significant amount of comfort, it is a nice feature to have. And then of course you have this adjustable seat post, which can adjust quite high. I am 6 feet tall and it was plenty comfortable. Hopefully you can tell in the riding footage. And again, we have a custom Brompton saddle. And what is really cool about this saddle is there's some cushioning here, and you can actually rest that on your shoulder. It has a pretty large chain ring here. As far as pedals go, you have a more normal right pedal, and then the left pedal folds. Here's where all the cabling comes and goes to the rear of the bike. We have the rear derailleur, the internally geared hub. We have the brakes and the light, and I believe this is where the torque sensor is underneath the frame here. And so there's a cable for that. Moving on to the cockpit, obviously front brake, right brake, rim brakes. And on the left side, we have a plus and minus. That's the rear derailleur. And on the right, we have the internally geared hub. And that has 3 settings. And it also comes with a bell. Moving on to the battery, which is actually stored in the bag, super unique, and they actually sell 2 different bags. This is the larger bag, which could, for instance, hold a laptop if you're commuting, which I really like. The smaller bag, obviously going to be a little bit more aerodynamic. They are the same size, and it comes unclipped simply by lifting here. And the bike automatically does turn on when you put the bag on. And this is basically where your options are as far as pedal assist and your lights, as well as your battery capacity. Here on the left, we have the lights. The left light means that you just want the lights on, and the right one is automatic. So if it's darker, they'll automatically turn on. In the middle here, this is the battery bar. So I have 4 out of 5. And then there's a power button here, but this changes the pedal assist 1, 2, or 3. And what was really cool is when I went out and filmed, I was able to bring all of my gear with me for my GoPro. And so you can see here I have like my RAM mount, I brought a jacket. This would be where, for instance, your laptop could go, and you can see that the battery is right here, just to give you a sense of how much storage space you can expect. And then you do have a zipper pocket on the outside. So for instance, you could put the charger. I have the owner's manual in there as well. And then on the side, you have a pocket here for a water bottle. And then you also have these pockets on the rear of the battery here for some additional storage space. Same thing on the left. There's a little miniature bike pump there. And the way you charge this bike is simply by plugging it in right here. And this is going to be your connector for power to the actual bike. Okay, now that we have the bag off, let's take a look at the front of this bike. What's really cool is this bag and all the battery and all the controller is all in here, and it doesn't move with the handlebars, so it's not going to affect your steering or anything, so I really like that. They've routed the cables through here. Obviously, these cables come down here for the motor, 250 watt motor. You can see just how skinny this is. From my understanding, this is a custom Brompton made motor. It says there 36 volt, 250 watt, 315 RPM. And in the folding section of the video, this is the clip I talk about that actually rests on the chainstay. And then you have the front rim brakes and a nice fender, which is going to provide plenty of protection in case you get stuck in rain. And a nice front light. This is actually the point where the handlebars clip on when they're folded. And here's just a closer look at where all the electronics come into the motor. And I did want to call out just the other folding points. So this is where it comes unscrewed from the frame, just like that. And then you slide it off, which allows the bike to fold. And then same kind of attachment here at the handlebars. So that completes the walk around of this bike. I hope I did justice to just the amount of thought and engineering that went into making the Brompton electric. So now let's get into how this bike folds as well as the riding footage. What's really cool is Brompton has really thought about the weight distribution of the bike, and so what's really cool is you can just lift from the frame here and it's pretty comfortable to be able to maneuver it. One other really neat feature that they have is this is a Brompton seat, and it actually has a pad underneath. So for instance, if you're walking through a building, you can actually wear this on your shoulder, and since it's only 30 pounds, it's really comfortable to be able to maneuver. You obviously wouldn't want this pressure on your shoulder for a long period of time, but it is nice to have some hands-free, be able to move around the bike. Now I'm going to go through folding the bike, which isn't too terribly difficult, but I can definitely tell that if you do this often, you'll probably get better at it. I was watching some videos from Brompton and some of the people who are very familiar with these bikes, and it is super impressive how fast they can fold them and unfold them. First step is to press this little trigger right here down by the bottom of the seat post that releases the back wheel. Comes all the way around. The next step is to undo the frame. And so you undo it here, and this is the trickiest part probably because you actually need to lift up, and then there's a clip that actually clips onto the chainstay. And then the final step is to lower the seat post, and this allows the rear tire to stay in place, so I can simply lift it and it's not going anywhere. And what is cool is now I could lower the handlebars, or you can kind of use it to maneuver the bike around. But if you want to undo the handlebars, you can do that. Really easy. They fold down and it does snap into place. And then finally, if you wanted to still stow your bag, you can still put it there. And again, there's a handle here, so you can simply maneuver your bike around. I'm not sure if it is actually rated to do so, but for light use, I think it would be fine. And then of course, unfolding, I'm gonna remove the battery, put the handlebars up, screw those on, raise the seat post, lift up. That all automatically clicks into place, and then you just have to screw this frame attachment here. And I did forget to mention that the pedal also folds. Just push here. So that's how you fold the Brompton electric bike. I did want to do a hill test on the Brompton bike. This is the same hill that I took the X Class as well as the Ride One Up Limited up. And I know the Brompton is far from a performance electric bike with a huge battery or huge motor, but I still wanted to give a sense of how capable this e-bike is at hill climbing. Keep in mind, it does not have a throttle. Right now I'm going about 10 miles an hour. It does have 6 gears, and I have it in pedal assist 2, and I'm working a fair bit. I have it in the lower gear on the actual derailleur, and then on the internally geared hub I have it on 2. And definitely capable of doing this hill. If I wanted to, I could go down to 1. So this would be in the lowest gear. And I'm not going very fast, about 7 miles an hour, 6. But it's definitely still comfortable if, for instance, you have a gigantic hill, you won't get it done very fast. Let me go ahead and go in pedal assist 3. So that gives me a bit of a boost, and of course I'm spinning those pedals a little bit more. Let's go in the higher gear on the derailleur. There we go, that feels a little bit better. Legs are definitely getting a workout, but given it is an electric bike, it's still plenty capable of doing a hill. I probably wouldn't recommend, if you have large hills and you're not at least somewhat that athletic, this might not be the right e-bike for you. But again, this is an extremely steep hill in the city where I live. So I hope that gives you a little bit better idea of what you can expect as far as tackling hills. What is nice is it does have those 6 speeds, which does offer a surprisingly amount of gear ratios to make sure that you are in a comfortable gear for pedaling. we go, we've reached the top of the hill. I also wanted to talk a little bit about top speed. So the Brompton can go up to 15 miles per hour with the motor. And so right now I am in the highest gear on both the derailleur and the internally geared hub. And my GPS just said I was going 17. Obviously the motor isn't going to help me after that 15 miles an hour. But if I'm really pushing 19 miles per hour, 20. So just something to keep in mind with the Brompton is that really the motor is cutting out after 15 miles per hour. It is of course capable of going at higher speeds, but only under your power. While the Brompton is a great electric bike with some awesome features, this is not what I would call an affordable electric bike. Bromptons are handmade in London, and as I mentioned in the intro, they have been perfecting foldable bikes for 45 years. The company takes such care in their bikes that each brazier, or the worker who welds the frame, is trained by Brompton for 18 months. They even have their own signature stamped on bike parts that they work on. The starting MSRP of the Brompton Electric is $34.99. If you're looking for a portable, high-quality electric bike, then the Brompton is surely a great option. The two biggest selling points are, of course, the fact that it folds and the weight. At just around 38 pounds, including the battery for the 6-speed option, even my 7-year-old nephew wanted to try his hand at lifting the bike up, and he was successful. The bike is also offered in a 2-speed which weighs about 36 pounds. As with most folding electric bikes on the market, there are trade-offs to be had between weight, motor, and battery size. Brompton opted for a 36-volt system with a 8.55 amp-hour battery or 307 watt-hours of battery capacity. For comparison, this is about half of the capacity of a full-size electric bike, though these other e-bikes also can weigh up to twice as much. But when you keep in mind who this bike is made for, primarily those in cities, that is plenty of capacity. Being able to bring this bike with you up to your apartment or putting it on a train is a huge benefit. The portability of this thing with the battery in a bag design is truly nice. And don't forget that because this bike is so light, you'll be able to provide plenty of your own power, even if you were to happen to run out of battery. The range is stated at 25 to 45 miles according to Brompton. Being lightweight, my wife and I, as well as a few lucky family members, found the 250 watt motor to be plenty capable. My wife and I both describe the front wheel drive as zippy, and it will assist you up to 15 miles per hour. After that, you're on your own. If you're familiar with some of the popular electric bikes in the US, you'll likely notice some omissions from the Brompton Electric. The first is that there is no throttle, and there's no LCD display. Not having a throttle makes sense due to that you'll want to operate this bike as efficiently as possible with the smaller battery to maximize range. And that's easy to do with the torque sensor, which helps you more as you apply more torque to the pedals. While the battery placement in the bag is genius for the extra storage, it's pretty difficult to change your pedal assist while riding. You'll have to wait for a stoplight for that. And while the battery provides plenty of information with the LED lights, it is just in an awkward spot. I was just missing being able to tell how fast I was going, instead opting to use my phone's GPS for my top speed run. The lack of an LCD is a small trade-off, especially given the benefit of both having the option for storage in the bag and also being able to easily remove it. But it is something worth mentioning. The ride on the Brompton is smooth, and I thoroughly enjoyed testing out the internally geared hub. It feels like a premium ride on pavement, and it is quite nimble. So if you want the most well thought out foldable bike that also happens to be electric, then the Brompton Electric might be just for you. I hope you enjoyed my Brompton Electric review, and I just want to give a shout out to the Brompton team for making a high quality e-bike and shipping it out to me so I could test it out for a few weeks. If you're new here, I will have links in the description to my electric bike deals page, as well as my popular electric bike accessories list. Check those out in the description. Thanks for watching this one, and we'll see you in the next one.
Here we go. Oh yeah, it's a bit different with the little wheels. I just feel so cool right now. So cool.